Everyone, welcome back to another super serious episode of Dynasty Underdog. I'm your host, Uriah Dawkins. With me tonight, Billy Beaven and Jake Cornboom. What's going on, guys?
Super serious.
There's a lot of shenanigans about the last 5 minutes, so
that's true. That's fair. Yes. Oh my goodness, football's back. We got the crew back together. I'm stoked, man. This should be a good episode. How you doing, Jake? Welcome back.
I'm a naked mole rat, but besides that, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I honestly just wanted to shout. The mustache is gone. For those of you who aren't watching, I highly recommend not watching because you will be disturbed. But on a more serious note, I did want to shout out the two of you. I only got to listen to 5 minutes of the show last week live, but I listened to it on the app stores or whatever the podcasts places, app stores.
What are you, 1,000 years old, bro?
I hit the play and
on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on.
I thought Billy was in my home
on the interweb.
On a serious note, I thought you guys absolutely killed it. So just wanted to shout you out. It was a really great episode. I missed it, so I'm back, and I decided to shave off all my facial hair. So
he got so excited. You just didn't even know what you were doing. Just shaved it all off.
Blind shave to be back on the show.
Appreciate that. We felt we came out of that episode feeling like it was a decent one. So appreciate the feedback. It's good stuff.
Of course.
Absolutely. All right. I was thinking about implementing the old school, not even old school, but 2 years ago Yankee rule where everybody has to be clean shaven. I might do that. I might make that standard for this pod. We'll see.
Uriah runs a tight ship.
I try. I don't run anything. So yeah, week 1 preseason was just occurred, and I hopefully we got to see enough and kind of wet our whistle a little bit. Getting excited for actual, full contact football, teams against other teams. And training camp's been great. But so preseason week 1 thoughts. Is there anybody or anything that stood out to you that you think actually matters?
I mean, we were on while the Colts game was going last week, and so we saw the A-Rich injury. I don't know if Jake has any thoughts about that game. I did think Warren looked like he was going to be involved no matter who the quarterback is and no matter what the situation is. So I mean that is encouraging, I guess, for Warren. But I mean, for me, I'm sure there's plenty we can talk about, but I feel like Trevion Henderson really kind of, took the spotlight and ruined it for everybody else because he just looks so damn good compared to everybody. Even, Ashton Genty, who I don't think we should be worrying about or anything like that. But, just the first NFL touch was absolutely electric, and then his subsequent ones were electric as well, and so I think he had the best showing. But what are your thoughts, Jake? Anything from the preseason that you wanted to shout?
Yeah, I think in general I saw a lot of things I liked. I've really been trying my best to catch up because I was traveling most of last weekend as well, and I had the in-laws in town. All right, TMI about my personal life, but I didn't get to catch a lot of live football, I guess is really what I wanted to hint at. So I've been trying in the DU film room on our Discord, shout out to our Discord. I've been trying to plug in as much content as possible, just about either snap tape or all targets, things like that, to kind of give some feedback about some of the individual players that I've seen, and a little bit around some of the players who maybe haven't been as hyped up, especially because of who they were performing with. But I wanted to highlight a couple of interesting nuggets. One was the Atlanta Falcons were one of the few teams for week 1 to not show any starters. So on both offense and defense, I thought that was interesting. One of the guys that I picked up basically as soon as I saw that was Casey Washington, as he was kind of part of the starter group that didn't get to play a single snap. I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't think he's going to necessarily turn into anything, but it's almost like one of those, what's the opposite of guilty by admission? It's he is in a positive circumstance because he was admitted from having to perform in the game itself. So put him in a pretty good spot. Shout out Jay. He says, you're welcome. Yeah. Okay. Maybe he helped me. Maybe he didn't, but yeah, he did. And I do think that like those types of little nuggets definitely help kind of pick up some value. I think realistically, Casey Washington's value is gone as soon as Darnell Mooney's back, but maybe the Darnell Mooney injury is more significant than we believe. The other thing I do want to highlight, because no one's really been talking about him, was Jarquez Hunter. I actually think that his snaps were pretty positive, even though he only showed out to go, I think it was like 10 for 41. It wasn't like a super impressive stat day, but I really, really loved how he attacked in between the lines. There wasn't a ton of outside and bouncing out to the outside running that you'd expect from a lot of younger running backs. He really wanted to kind of interact with the tackle as soon as possible, almost doing what Caleb Johnson did, but significantly more productive. Sorry, Uriah. But, you know, I think that was interesting. The other one that was of note, and I posted this in the DU film room as well, was RJ Harvey. He was doing the exact opposite. You really didn't see any snaps of his where he's really trying to interact and engage the offensive line in a more direct path. And I don't necessarily want to take that as like an ultimate knock on the guy. It's just a red flag for me. It's just something that I noticed in game one. And I think that's like my biggest takeaway here for like what our week one preseason thoughts are, is just like, take the small bits that you see as value, but don't take it and like make, you know, long lasting decisions off of it. Like if you're an RJ Harvey owner, like I wouldn't be selling off of that tape personally. And I wouldn't go the opposite way and really try and buy in on RJ Harvey if you're really in on him and you don't have shares of him either. Like for me, it's just trying to learn a little bit more about how the players are going to interact in the offenses and take it from there. What about you, Uriah?
I think you kind of nailed it. The Warren thing really kind of stood out to me, which we kind of should have seen. Well, it's not like we've been down on Warren, but yeah, I think he's definitely gonna have a role day one. Then, yeah, my boy RJ Harvey did make a couple bad decisions, which was pretty sad for me, but still wheels up. And then I guess we should Rocket Sanders. Also looked pretty good. Especially considering the situation there. But he looks good in the touches he got. So week one preseason, we don't know the full extent of, you know, on both offense and defense in these games, like exactly who the starters were and who, you know, some of the starters weren't, like, you know, because each team does a different mingle. So like you're going to get varied results. But anyways, the touches that he got, he looked pretty good. So shout out.
Yeah. To that point, like, you know, even the Patriots game, I'm pretty sure like we had our starters in for some period of time. Commanders did not. Like they were running the backup. So I mean, I think Henderson would have looked good regardless. But you know, to I guess the rest of the offense, like the receivers didn't look amazing. Like, you know, the passing game didn't look amazing. So yeah, take it all with a bit of a grain of salt. And I think to Jake's point, it's more about, you know, getting familiarized with the players and how they actually perform at this level and within their respective offenses, right? Like that's what you're trying to, you know, see the usage and whatnot. Just a couple of things I'll throw out before we move forward, though, with just, you know, some preseason stuff. I thought was interesting. Vikings, this may just be like preseason week one and he goes away because he is a little bit older. He's not a rookie or anything like that. But Xavier Scott, thought that was interesting. Running back, he led the way in terms of productivity for that room. And they don't really have that much in that room behind Aaron Jones. And so, you know, it
Jordan Mason.
I mean, yeah, okay, you're right. Sorry, Jordan Mason. But it's just like, if Aaron Jones is injured,
I hear you.
And it's not really that, you know, it's an open room, I feel like, in general. And so I kind of thought he did something there to, you know, deserve a shout. Corey Kiner was definitely interesting over for the 49ers. You know, he went 10 for 45, definitely the most productive back there, looked really solid. Guy that we've liked a little bit, late round guy. Pat Bryant looked okay. And, you know, limited usage. He was like kind of exactly what you thought he was, like kind of a bigger play guy, right? He had, I think it was like 10 per catch or whatever, but that's a little bit, you know, he's not going to be a short area guy. And then Taj Brooks, I thought, you know, he didn't perform really well from a box score standpoint, but I did think he looked okay between the tackles. Like I thought he ran well, you know what I mean? And it was just the offensive line wasn't giving him much to work with, in my opinion, but I thought he looked pretty good. And that backfield is wide open. So other than obviously Chase Brown, but I mean, behind him. So yeah, definitely thought that was interesting seeing some of these running backs. From the comments here, yes, Ty Chandler down for sure. He didn't prove anything in his chance last year. And then Chisholm definitely up. He did look good in preseason. That's fair. He got in there the second half of the game and was definitely showing out. I think he makes the team. I think they got to keep 6 receivers on that team, but it's possible that they try to put him on practice squad. I just don't think he makes it there. So I think that he's either on another team or he's on the Patriots 53 man. So I'm hoping he makes it. I really like what I saw out of Chisholm, to be honest.
Yeah. Shout out to JCM too. He looks pretty good.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. This comment from Tony, Pat Bryant being Michael Thomas's complete diary of the mouth. Yeah, exactly. I definitely don't see him as much of a possession guy as I do kind of more downfield, bigger play type threat. Maybe is kind of how I saw him. So yeah, that's what I saw when I put on the limited tape. I think I remember saying that in the profiling. So. Yeah, surprised to hear that Michael Thomas comment, but I feel like he just says shit. Like Sean Payton just likes to say shit and just throw people off. So I got to see what his coach speak rating is. I'm sure it's absolutely dog shit. So
awful.
Yeah, but we can move
forward.
Sorry.
Yeah, the only other thing I did want to add is because we didn't touch on any of the quarterbacks. Almost all the rookie quarterbacks did play as well. So just wanted to shout out. Cam Ward looked relatively decent in his first 2 drives against the Bucks. Jackson Dart played against the 2s, actually the 3s for Buffalo, but looked relatively decent. Had a decent audible where he threw a 40-ish yard touchdown to Lil Jordan Humphrey, I think it was. Shador Sanders, I think, looked a little bit better than people suspected. I don't think he was great, but I think it was still better than what people suspected, especially with the whole fallout from the NFL draft. I did want to go backwards, though, to Cam Ward. I really, really liked the usage of Calvin Ridley with Cam Ward. I think that's like one of the biggest things that we all kind of were hoping for, but I really do see that room and how we saw the room set up for Cam in the first 2 drives was basically Tyler Lockett as the wide receiver 2. And, I don't want to call out usage from preseason as being the gospel, but I did find that to be a little bit interesting. We didn't really get to see all that much from Chimere Dike or Alec Ayermanner, so that's unfortunate from that perspective. But Calvin Ridley, I think, wheels up from a probably wide receiver 1-ish performance this year, as long as he stays healthy with Cam Ward, even if Cam Ward doesn't have that great of a year. So things to be excited about.
Excellent. Also, shout out, I have NFL Plus, which comes with the NFL Pro film room. And believe it or not, I wanted to watch some film. If any of you guys know how to put it in the prompts to capture the preseason, some guy listed what to do, and I tried doing it and I can't fucking figure it out. So if anybody knows how to use it,
I'll look into it. I'll help you out, old man.
I'll figure
it out. I'll help you out there. They definitely, I saw the NFL, they put out something on that. So I'm sure there's a instruction guide to that. Real quick here before we move, a couple more comments. Shug actually looked good minus the pick 6. Shador also picked up an oblique strain. True. Other ridiculous comments that I almost put on the screen. Never mind those. What was I going to say? Yeah, I didn't think Shador looked I saw a ton of positive, I guess, evaluations of that first game, and I thought he looked okay. It was fine. He was against a lot of backups. It didn't look great. I feel like if he was against starters, it wouldn't have looked as good. So he has some work to do. But I guess my point is we kind of knew this about him. We knew that he dropped in the draft for a reason that had nothing to do with on the field stuff, right? And so we shouldn't be surprised that he looks like what he looks like, but he still looks like what we thought he was, which was probably more of a 2nd round pick than a 1st round pick. So yes. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of what I expected, and it doesn't look amazing. So I mean, potential starter, I guess, at some point. But that's what we thought. So yeah, the other thing I want to say, sorry, last thing for me is just because I noticed this, and I didn't really notice this from a lot of other teams, but Diggs didn't play in the Patriots starting offense, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I did not like what I saw from that, from a passing perspective. Like obviously they ran the ball really well, so something to monitor. Let's see what it looks like if they get in there, in week 3 again or whatever. I don't know if they're going to play all 3 weeks, any of the starters, but early in the season, it's definitely something to monitor. I don't know if that passing game is going to be what we hope it is. So yeah,
until he's 100%, you're saying?
I don't. Who? Diggs looks great.
Yeah.
He looks great in camp. He looks 100%, or his 80% is just way better than all of our other 100% players right now. But I don't know if it's going to look good regardless. I'm just saying that he wasn't out there, so maybe that's why it didn't look as good as it could look. But
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? An injured coming off of an Achilles, Diggs added to this offense, like I still think it might not look that good is kind of my point. So I'm a little concerned if they don't pick it up.
Yeah, I think from a homer bias as well, that's probably the same exact situation for the Giants. If we don't have Malik Neighbors, I would not be too invested in this offense regardless. I just don't think the team will be able to move the ball without him. So being conscientious of kind of all of the small injuries he seems to pick up, the lingering toe injury that has tended to prosper from this offseason that he's had since college, and the new shoulder injury, it's just going to be a scary situation from a fantasy perspective, where people might have thought that maybe Wan'Dale Robinson or Darius Slayton would have potential value. I just don't potentially see it if there's no Malik. So just a heads up.
Cool. I'm glad Dallas doesn't have any of those problems.
I was literally about to say Dallas is just over there on cloud 9. Everything's good. We're just looking at George Pickens, just mossing everybody in practice. He's doing great. Love to see it.
Cool. So next, with some news and nonsense. Oh boy. A post from Eric Moody. Actually a really, really good guy on the socials. So the fantasy football draft strategy: get who you love and hate yourself later. I love that. Hey man, when it's maybe not round 1 through 3 or whatever, but get your guy and have fun. I think that's a good PSA. And then also we got news of James Cook finally got a contract extension. So I think it was 4 years, like 33 mil or something like that. Good for him. Kyron got signed last week, and we have James Cook getting signed this week. So fade him if you want. I don't know. He got a bag. Does that mean anything? I think we talked about that last week. We don't know. It may or may not mean anything. It just means he got paid for what he has previously done. So any thoughts?
I think that actually is – I just think that's super interesting coming off the back of that conversation and having 2 of these guys signed late in the year. I don't know. It'll be interesting to monitor, but I do think that it's no surprise that those are the 2 kind of players. Like you could take the name away, but profile wise, like it's not surprising that they got signed late in the year. It's like, I like James Cook, especially from a fantasy perspective. He does like what we like, but I'd like to see him, we'd love to have him have a bigger role, but kind of like a tweener running back. Like it's not surprised that they don't see him as a full-time starter necessarily, but also they're like, this team doesn't have that many fucking weapons. Like, what are we going to do here if we don't have a James Cook and we don't have any receivers? Like they got to have something in there. And I'm sure Josh Allen was in their ear. Like, dude, this guy needs to be here, please. Like somebody else needs to be running the ball besides me. So yeah, it's just like, I think there's more that goes into it sometimes if you look at the context.
It's funny too, just in contrast to what a lot of the internet was saying last week about Ray Davis being, this like amazing asset to go buy right now. And then the conversation immediately changes. Like I already saw the convo is now pushing James Cook again. It's just like James Cook is the established running back and, one of the top 5 AFC offenses. Like, oh, Jesus, shut the fuck up. But like in all seriousness, I do think that it is really funny how we can move through these windows and kind of project kind of the sell windows for some of these players and the buy windows. James Cook was one of those situations where I do think you were probably able to get in for the last 2 to 3 weeks at a relatively, a decent cost that you're probably pretty happy about, and you're now gone from that situation. So sayonara to your opportunity.
Terry McLaurin is right there for the taking at this point. I feel like it's going to be a very similar thing. And even if he got moved, I mean, it wouldn't be great, but you'd still probably be fine with whatever you're paying for now versus what he's going to produce for you. So he was one who I was like looking at these and I was like, damn, another one who could be signed late in the season, but value wise, forget even production, value wise, like it's going to be one that you can buy and flip if you get him now, right? Like the value is going to kind of soar. So, yeah, very interesting combo. Good stuff.
Okay, let's keep her going here. So Billy's got a little bit of roster myopia, as he wants to call it. It's spelled MYOPIA for those at home. You can Google it.
It's nearsighted. it's being short-sighted is what we're getting at here. But just quick, anybody can throw their thoughts out. But just something I noticed, and I mean, I think for some of the more seasoned players, is probably not as much of an issue. But I have a lot of conversations with like family, friends, whatever it is, people in the community who are reaching out, like, during startups, and I constantly see a lot of like, I need a week one starter, or you know what I mean? Like and basically overdrafting maybe a running back or something, right? Because you need that week one starter in your running back 2 spot. And so you're going to draft them over values. And I saw this happen, a recent example of like Javonte Williams, right? Who totally could, bounce back. He could do well in Dallas, no doubt about it. But the board had guys like Chris Godwin, Trey Harris, early second round pick type values, like guys who could potentially be first round picks, established players who don't have as many question marks, you know what I mean? Whether maybe injury, stuff like that, or young players with a lot more upside or a lot more runway for that value to last. And so I just feel like often we lose sight of the fact that, like, especially I think this can apply to, being outside of a startup, but especially in a startup, it's like the teams aren't set yet. You have no idea how, productive your team's going to be. Are they going to actually be a contender? Do you need a week one? Do you need a starter at all in that position this year? Like, you should be drafting more value, of course. And I think that, some of the more seasoned players probably lean into that kind of strategy, but it's just something that I see over and over and over again. So I just wanted to give it a quick shout. I'm not sure what the answer is other than to better understand how quickly certain profiles can lose value in Dynasty versus how much longer other values can last, right? Whether that be, new rookies who, have a full season plus maintaining similar value, or whether it be a guy, a vet coming off injury or something like that, who's definitely going to, rebound. And so, just something I saw in practice, and I'll cut it there. Anybody have any thoughts?
Practice?
That's a good PSA. All right, let's move on to the Ricochet Effect. I love how you put this noun. A rebounder skipping as of a ball along the ground when a gun is fired at a low angle of elevation or a flat stone thrown on the surface of the water. Lame. All right. So applying this to Dynasty, getting into assets now at cost, get out of them for more in a very quick window. So essentially, we have a list of players here that Jake has put together, as well as Billy, along with some trades.
Recently, I better get my due credit.
Yeah, well,
you didn't do shit. You listed names.
Jake did all the work.
To be fair, I did nothing. So, so this is basically just gonna be like a bunch of players with some recent trades, and are these the types of players that we think that we get in at cost right now, and in a very short window, say by week 1, week 2, or even sometimes in preseason, can we be able to flip them for more?
Yep.
Let's get into it. Aaron Jones, the old man Aaron Jones. So some recent trades for him was Aaron Jones for a second. Aaron Jones plus a second for the 205. Aaron Jones for Jimmy G in a third. Aaron Jones for 26 second, and Aaron Jones for 20 for 2/3. Do you think he'll ever be worth more than a 26 second?
Yes.
I don't really. Okay. But like, Aaron Jones and a second for the 205. I mean, yeah, I'll take Aaron Jones in the second if that's a real trade. I feel like that's the very best of these.
These are all real trades, yes.
Okay, so Aaron Jones and a second for the 205. Yeah, that seems kind of crazy. All right.
The second one I think is also a pretty severe smash. Aaron Jones for Jimmy G in a third. Like,
yeah,
even if Jimmy G starts 2 games, like I'd think the most you're going to see from Jimmy G is a third. It's basically the equivalent of the last one, and probably the hardest and most challenging one would be for 26 seconds straight up, because that's probably what you'd want to get off of him for. But I do think that there's probably a world where in the first 6 weeks that you could probably get 2 seconds for Aaron Jones. And I think that's kind of the purpose or the thought process behind some of these assets in general, is just like at cost. Not all of the deals that I've listed here. Also, I want to just completely share, I don't think these are all smashes, by the way. I just want to put out that these are all values that are kind of going around the range that I think make sense. But this is definitely the hardest one for me, is the 26 second, because I think that's what you could get off of them right now. And I think feel pretty confident about it. But being able to get in for 2/3 just feels like an absolute value right now. Clearly getting a second on top to get out into the 205 is also fantastic. But that some of these are smashes. Some of these are like, oh, okay, maybe I can put some thought into it.
Yeah, I would take the 26 second, because what I said, I don't think you're going to get much more than that anyway. I would buy him for 2/3 because I do think you could get a second for sure. So I would do those kind of trades. Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like the injuries with him have been so frequent. I don't feel like the risk is worth pushing for a potential extra second, which I really think what you're going to end up getting is probably a second and a third. So I think you're really, moving off of a second to get Aaron Jones for a second and a third at the end of the day. So that is like the value is not enough for me to want to do that.
Yeah, I hear that. The way I see it, honestly, is being able to take advantage of the rookie running backs who don't play a lot at the beginning of the year and being able to get a second plus. So you get, let's say JCM doesn't start, and a JCM owner who isn't Uriah is, doesn't like the asset anymore, right? So you do a second plus JCM. I think that turns into 2 seconds. You do Taj Brooks in a second, something like that. That's the way that you kind of get out of these trades, by getting more, in my opinion. And that's why I feel even confident trading a second for JCM now, because JCM, Aaron Jones now. I have JCM on my mind. I was like, wow.
You turned into Uriah real fast.
JCM. No, but like, seriously, I do think that there is value there, but I agree. It could be borderline negligible. It's just about how you kind of play around with the asset moving forward. And to Billy's point, I don't think that the injury concern is gone. I think the injury concern, funny enough, on a lot of these assets actually lives there pretty strongly, especially with some of the older ones, and what that might impact and what that window looks like of the selling opportunity. To me, Aaron Jones is a max you hold on to 3 to 4 weeks, and you're trying to get rid of him.
Like 2 weeks.
Yeah, if you can. Some leagues aren't active enough for that, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, it's true. It's true. Yeah.
Moving on. Next guy, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen went for 27 third. For Will Howard, 4 26 and 27 fourth, or 2 fourths.
I'd take him for almost all those deals. Sorry to jump in. I wasn't looking at the screen. My bad. But yeah, I would take him for almost all those. Probably max is like realistically 2/3, maybe a second round pick. Maybe you can get to a second round pick, but I think that's going to be a push, and you're hoping he stays healthy. But again, I guess to Jake's point, it's like 2 to 4 weeks is your max that you're trying to hold on to these guys. So that's your window for it. But yeah, jump in. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I think every single one of those trades is kind of worth getting into Keenan Allen right now, and then trying to get off of him soon. You can see that 27 third turn in 26 third relatively easy.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah, that's true. Those are the max edges, I guess, that I'm not like chasing as much, but I probably should be, especially with these guys.
Yeah, this exercise is actually just making Billy feel like he doesn't put in enough work around his Dynasty trades. But no, I agree with both of you. I think this is all really good value to get into Keenan. And it's one of those offenses where we've already seen the reporting out of LA. There's some concerns around Trey Harris, and there's concerns around QJ. There's concerns around Lad McConkey's health. I think there's just a really good option of just having the safety blanket for Justin Herbert and working with a guy that he's worked with for a pretty decent chunk of his very young career to just kind of come in, be an asset from the onset. And then I'm not telling you that he's going to perform like he did 3 years ago with Justin Herbert. I'm just saying that I do think that he'll have some immediacy value, and that's the whole purpose of the Ricochet effect. It's like we want to make sure that we can get into these assets that we believe will have realistically really strong opening weeks that you can then get out of for a realistic profit.
Cool. Next one, Billy already kind of alluded to this earlier, just talking about whatever the hell we were talking about earlier, but Terry McLaurin.
Drugs.
He hasn't been extended yet. He's gonna get extended. I think they have to. So Terry McLaurin. So Terry McLaurin in recent trades has gone for Torrey Horton in a 27 second. What are we doing?
That Horton hype is real, bro. Horton running with the first team.
Juwan Jennings, Elijah Arroyo, Tony Pollard. Oh, and Tony Pollard. I thought it went on. I was like, holy shit. Okay, so
plus Mike Evans. Plus
that's what I was going on my quote. Okay, never mind on this one. Terry McLaurin, 4 Juwan Jennings, and Elijah Arroyo, and Tony Pollard. Honestly, I think that's decent, and that's close to a decent haul for Terry. It's not too bad. And then Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin plus Mike Evans for a 26 first.
Oh, yeah.
And Terry McLaurin for 2.26 seconds. Yeah, based upon these trades, just I'll keep it quick, but it seems like you could go acquire McLaurin today and then flip him for more in 3 short weeks.
Yeah, I think the 2.26 seconds I'm probably in for. I agree that Jennings, Arroyo, Pollard, if you're planning on flipping stuff, you would need to flip Pollard and Jennings, and you could probably make a decent profit on that. Arroyo potentially too. He's getting a ton of hype. But McLaurin feels like this safer asset long term. But yeah, it's interesting. Mike Evans and McLaurin for a first. That's an interesting one. I might lean the first on that, but the rest of those, I think you could probably do what you're trying to do. Get him for a value, even though I think that Jennings or Royal Pollard one, you could do something with that side. I think all of them, you probably get them at a value and then flip them. Jake, thoughts?
Yeah, I think McLaurin is actually one of the assets that feels the hardest. And I don't know if it's just because folks are probably scared of the ambiguity, and that probably has a lot to do with it. If I'm holding, I'm trying to hold at ceiling, and I'm not going to get off for super cheap, and it feels like that's the case here. The Horton hype does feel like that's just kind of what the driver was for that individual owner. But outside of that, to your point, Billy, I agree. Plus Mike Evans for 26 first. I think from a point scoring perspective, it probably ends up equaling out, and you probably feel pretty confident with it. But it's if you end up, this is a contending team, you very well could have just killed off one of those assets, and now you just have Terry McLaurin by the end of the year. And what do you do with that? Is that still equal to a first at the end of the season? That's the question that you have to ask yourself, right? So I don't think so. That one does feel harsh. The Jennings plus Arroyo plus Pollard one, I agree with both of you as well. You combine all those assets and you're working through that. I can see, honestly, trying to get a first for those 3 assets right now in this given market, just with the San Francisco conversation, with Ayuk not playing probably till week 10, week 12, Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears being out with a high ankle sprain. That kind of puts me in a spot where I'd rather kind of stick with the 3 players than get into Terry, but he does feel like the hardest asset to move here based off of some of these patterns.
Real quick here from the YouTube chat. If you're holding his assets and it's super hard, why are you having trouble getting off?
Oh,
Jesus fucking Christ.
Crazy.
This is an NC-17 rated podcast. Oh my goodness!
I just had my kid on here.
I was just gonna say, I just met Uriah's daughter. Like I really hope she's not near. God bless.
Okay, family-friendly podcast. What's no longer?
Get a grip, chat.
He said, your words, Jake. Your words.
That wasn't. I just edit that out if that was me.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, we can move on. I thought I was going to say something, but never mind.
Move on.
Say something if you want.
No, I don't know what I was going to say. Move on. I've been derailed.
All right. Mike Evans. This is a good one. I think this has been a good one for like the last 3 years. For what it's worth, but this is going to be the last year. So Mike Evans. Same with Derrick Henry.
I was just going to say it's the Derrick Henry conversation.
Mm-hmm. This is the cliff.
Yeah. So it's finally here. Mike Evans for Trey Benson and a 26th third. And then Mike Evans for Pat Bryant and a 26th second. And then Mike Evans for Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I guess I am living in the world where he is going to still return me a first come contender time. I feel like I can get off of him for that. I like the Trey Benson plus a third. I think I'd take Mike Evans, thinking I can probably profit more than that. Pat Bryant the second's close. I'd probably keep Mike Evans over Cortland Sutton and hope I can get pick value that I want.
What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I fall in line with all of these trades. I would trade for Mike Evans for Benson a third, Pat Bryant a second, and Cortland Sutton.
What do you think his top profit is?
Honestly, if I'm making
your eyes widened at the first, and so if you're trading Pat Bryant in a second, you're hoping for 2 seconds. Or what do you?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. I don't know who's trading. Maybe there's someone out there that's trading a second for Pat Bryant right now. But yeah, I think that's probably Pat Bryant's realistic ceiling return by the end of the season. Is a second.
Well, no, sorry if you misunderstood what I said. What I meant was, if you are trading Pat Bryant in a second and getting Mike Evans, what are you expecting to turn him around as the profit for?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, yeah, that was my response to it. Yeah, My point was saying, what is my ceiling expectation of Pat Bryant? It's a second at max. So if it's 2 seconds, gotcha. Then I'm happy with it, is why I was responding the way I was. Yeah, I think 2 seconds would be a perfect ceiling return here. I think that's why I'm happy with Trey Benson in a third. I think Trey Benson's right now going for a second and Cortland Sutton is probably equivalent to 2 seconds. I just think that Evans will probably outperform him. I'm not that high on Bo Nix's performance this upcoming season. I know I fucking ate my words last year with that shit, but I'm just being completely frank with everybody. I just don't think that he's going to bounce back and have a great season again. So I don't see Cortland Sutton being the asset that we want him to be.
Also, sorry, just the point on Bo Nix. I think we can expect most of the rookie quarterbacks who overperformed last year to come back to earth a little bit at the very least. So I don't think that is far-fetched to think that Bo Nix could still be good, but just not that good. So yeah.
Okay. Moving on. DeAndre Swift. So we got DeAndre Swift for Judkins. And you know what? Last week I didn't say Judkins on purpose. I honestly just messed it up. But I haven't been listening to a lot of podcasts. I haven't listened to a lot of people say his name. So I don't know. It's always been Judkins to me throughout the process. And then, but I'm going to do better. Try to pronounce people's names right. Judkins. DeAndre Swift for Judkins. And then DeAndre Swift for AOC and Shadur. And DeAndre Swift for the 204. And then DeAndre Swift for Milroe.
Oh man, that Judkins one, why would you do that to us, Jake?
I have to keep it spicy, you know?
I'm gonna take Judkins over Swift. I feel like I'm gonna be able to flip him for more long term. I think he's gonna at some point sign, but I mean, I'll eat my words on that. Honestly, I'm saying this. I'm probably never going to actually do it. So maybe I shouldn't say that, but that's how I actually feel about it. But I'm also probably not buying DeAndre Swift either. Like I don't have any of him. But that said, the AOC Shador one, damn, I feel like you could take Swift and he's probably going to return more value than those two short term. But Shador obviously could return some more value, or, you know, have more value long term. But I think if you're doing this in kind of with the exercise we're talking about here, and you're doing it in a short window, then I think you could profit more off of Swift in the short term. And I might be one to do that off of that deal. The 204, that's a little tougher, but yeah, that's I'd probably just keep the 204 there. And I'm probably going to take Milroe. Is that crazy? Again, I think we could probably do the same thing I was saying before about the Shador one with Swift. So you could probably grab Swift and flip him for 2 seconds early in the season or something like that, which is easy profit on Milroe. So you should probably do that too. Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I feel it's tough, because what you're really talking about is like, will the production be good enough to even get into a window where the selling value is greater than the return here? And I don't like DeAndre Swift by any means, but I also don't think he has that much competition in the grand scheme of things. Like, I am not a Roshan Johnson believer. I think that he fucking is cheeks. And I also I like Kamanon guy, but I don't like him enough to think that he's really going to dive too deep into DeAndre's snap share. So like, for me, this really does feel like kind of a smash on all three of these if we expect the Chicago offense to be as productive as we think it's going to be. Now, with that all being said, in my mind, this very well could be a situation where you should be able to get onto the other side plus for Swift moving forward. So I think I'm cool with all four of these options. So 4 Judkins, 4 AOC plus Shador, for the 204, and for Milroe. But that's not because I believe in Swift. It's because I believe in the Ricochet effect. It's because I believe that you can get into DeAndre now and get off of DeAndre in 3 to 4 weeks. Not 3 to 4 weeks from now, 3 to 4 weeks into the NFL season, and make like, fucking, please don't hold me to it. I'm like, people are going to take screenshots and be like, you know, in 2 weeks, it's preseason week 3 and he's still getting traded for the same shit. Like, yeah, I'm fully aware of that. I mean, week 3 to 4 in the NFL season, if performing to what I believe the ceiling is for this Chicago Bears offense, there's a place here where you're making a profit on this.
I agree. All right. RB2 of the 2025.
Jesus Christ.
Running back class.
This is not sponsored by Dynasty Underdog.
Caleb Johnson. All right. So Caleb Johnson was traded away for James Cook and 4 Judkins.
Those are separate
Brian
trades.
Robinson.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. And also for Brian Robinson and a third. And also Caleb Johnson plus a third for RJ Harvey.
Okay. I don't know about the Cook one. I'll take him over Judkins. I'll take him over Brian Robinson a third for sure. I put Caleb on here, and I'll probably take him plus the third for Harvey, because then you could definitely flip him again, and you've already made profit essentially there, in my opinion. So I don't understand. Like, Caleb, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Caleb Johnson, but he has a great opportunity here. Pretty okay offense. Like, it should be a serviceable offense. Okay. And I simply feel like his value hasn't even caught up to just that alone. Like, that he is like, you know, Jalen Warren, I think, is going to be a factor for sure, but I think Caleb Johnson is going to be super involved. And I think his week 1, 2, 3 value is going to greatly exceed kind of what we're seeing here. Or at the very least, you're going to be able to sell him, you know, for a little plus and get, you know, kind of what the return on investment you're looking for. What do you think, Jake?
I think it's because I don't like Caleb Johnson all that much, but
yeah.
I'm just not feeling it, man. I'm just not. He was one of the players I intentionally left out from too much talk in the preseason week 1 thoughts, but honestly, looking at his snaps, looking at his lack of burst, looking at the way he moves between the lines, looking at his vision, it's all the same issues that you and I talked about during our prospect profiling process. And like, I know what his skill set is, and I think he's worse than Najee Harris, honestly. Like, I think he's just significantly worse than Najee Harris. Najee showed what I think the ceiling is in probably a slightly less efficient offense will be. So I'm hoping for Aaron Rodgers to slightly elevate that, just slightly. But I don't know. I just don't think that I'm getting into Caleb for the Cook or the plus the third for RJ Harvey trades. I will happily get into Caleb for Brian Robinson in a third. And I'll be honest, I'm highly skeptical for Judkins, because I do think that once Judkins does get a contract, starts practicing again, even with a suspension, like, that's just an asset I think I would rather, even with a potential ricochet effect. The problem is I think Caleb Johnson, and the reason why I have this hesitancy, I don't believe in the ricochet effect for him. I don't think that the early part of the season is going to be as productive as we're hoping for him. But I hope you're right, because I have 3 or 4 shares and I need to get the fuck off of it.
It's interesting. I don't even think it's honestly, I don't even think it's necessarily you're going to need production. Like, it feels like his value hasn't even been realized for like Uriah, like how he feels about him. It's like, they're not even into it yet. And I feel like just when week 1 rolls around and he's like getting some opportunity, it might just get back to even. And I agree. I think I totally agree with you on the Cook one. I said that initially.
Yeah.
I could definitely get on the RJ Harvey side for sure. That's fine. Brian Robinson is like completely hated, so he might actually be a ricochet effect candidate, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm not like super into that. I didn't put him on here, but just thinking about kind of where he's at, and just, if JCM isn't it, then like he could definitely bounce back in value. That said, I do think Caleb Johnson could potentially return like that first round-ish value. And I think, getting off of those 2 middle trades, which is the Judkins and the Brian Robinson plus a third ones, would definitely be heady. But yeah, outside of that, I think you probably are being more even keeled about this one, especially given we had the same concerns coming in.
But speaking to someone who didn't have those concerns, Uriah, what are your thoughts on those 4 trades? Like, you're buying into Caleb for all 4 of those, or where's your head at?
I would buy into Caleb for Brian Robinson in the third, but I would probably get off of Caleb Johnson for RJ Harvey in the third, because I think you're kind of dealing with similar. The running backs are, right now they're basically equal in reality, right? Whether or not who I think is better or not, but the situations they're in are very similar. And so it's kind of like a 3 for free third, in my opinion. I think RJ Harvey's going to be worth more in 6 weeks, and I think that Caleb Johnson's going to be worth more in 6 weeks. But I don't think that those prices are going to be like too dissimilar, in my opinion. The Judkins thing, I'm just staying away. Like, I just kind of have to.
Fair.
And then, which I don't think he's a very good player to begin with, but I pretty much agree with what I caught from here at the end. And then the whole Cook thing, I think right now with the way it was sold, like, I'm not selling Caleb Johnson for Cook, but I think you could probably get Caleb Johnson plus selling Cook. And I think I do that.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, if you believe in Caleb, then that is where you would go with it, right? Like, if you can get Caleb in a second for James Cook, that's a smash deal for you, like, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's honestly not a bad deal for anybody if you're willing to immediately flip Caleb too. Then you could potentially get, James Cook's value, but I would just rather have James Cook probably personally. And though he's not the easiest asset to move, I've tried to move him in the past. This contract might help in short term, but in the past he's been a difficult asset to move. But we can move forward here.
Yeah, cool. JJ McCarthy. Kind of excited to see what this kid could do this year. Unfortunately, what happened to him last year. JJ McCarthy was traded for Tua straight up. JJ McCarthy was traded for Oh, and a second for Cam Ward. Interesting.
That's crazy.
JJ McCarthy was traded for Shipley, Anthony Richardson, and a 27 first. And JJ McCarthy was traded for Dylan Sampson, Trevor Lawrence, and a 26 third.
It's a wide range, I feel like, of
that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, just without sitting and like chewing on it for a long time, just initially, that seems like JJ McCarthy's going for a bunch of different shit. So,
well, I put him on here, I'll be honest, because he was QB 15, I think, and in the range of some just like skill players that I would totally be fine getting out on for him. Just 1 for 1, but like just speaking to what's here, I'm definitely taking McCarthy in a second over Cam Ward for sure. Probably taking McCarthy over Tua, just given all the injury stuff and all that, and especially if you can garner other trades like Shipley AR and a first, which isn't my like preferred packaging, but that's pretty solid. You'd really need AR to do something short term and Ricochet Effect his ass too, but I'm on the fence on that one. I'm kind of leaning McCarthy still, but on the fence. Samson T-Law in a third. I'm taking the T-Law side, I think.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said except for the last one. I think the last one, well, shit, man, T-Law. Maybe it's I'm hating on. Have I started to become a Trevor Lawrence hater? Maybe I have. I would want something other than. I would want something other than Samson, but I pretty much agree with you.
Yeah, I don't. He's probably one of the hardest assets to truly value right now because of how optimal the offense is, how much people believe in Kevin O'Connell. I almost wanted to say believe in cock, but I decided against it.
Strongly.
You said it. You said it. You still said it. So you should have just said it. It would have hit better.
Whoopsies. I said what I said after the fact. And then like I think when you line up all of the assets that they have on the offense, they improve the offensive line. It just screams a perfect storm for a great, successful first year of him playing. Yes, it's his second year technically, but the fact that we haven't seen him play and a lot of the prospect profiling around him was so wide range, including from ourselves. Like I was not very high on him as a prospect. It puts you in a very precarious situation to understand what you're willing to get off of. And so like, if I'm able to get into a quarterback asset that is more similarly valued to him, but is a veteran quarterback. So like right now on KTC, you're right. He is QB 15. Behind him is Kyler at QB 17. Behind him is Baker Mayfield at QB 16. I will happily get into those assets with even a small plus or even 1 for 1. Like I don't give a shit if I'm technically losing value. I would get into Dak Prescott with a plus. He's QB 21. I would get into Jared Goff at QB 22 plus. So it's like these trades that we have listed, I like the 4 Tua. Tua's QB 27 right now in KTC, which is also a little ridiculous.
Jesus Christ. That is crazy.
But yeah, JJM plus a second for Ward seems like just a surefire. I'm coin flipping the quarterbacks. That's totally fine. And I'm getting a second on top. I personally am fine with getting completely out of AR, trading a 27 first and getting into what I believe is probably capable of getting me 2 seconds basically immediately. I don't have to worry about AR potentially hitting. Like he could, but he could also trip and fall and, hurt his pinky. So No. He just didn't read the Blitz package. And then I guess to Uriah's point, I also am kind of off of T-Law. Like I don't see a need to buy into the quarterback who has shown nothing over 5 years and get out of a guy who hasn't yet. What has he shown? No. What has he shown?
Nothing. I mean,
he's had one top 12 quarterback season. Like if that's the case, then I'm going to hold on to Bo Nix for 6 fucking years. Like,
I mean, the
what's the
context
point?
matters a little bit. He's had a really
it's all Urban Meyer's fault, right? Yeah, okay.
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't just
okay.
Urban Meyer. There was others, but yeah.
All right.
No, but he started it.
No,
He
come on.
definitely-
Like,
He didn't give him
if that's
good,
if that's the perspective that we're going
development
with, then
path.
like, let's give Daniel Jones more chances. He had one great performance. He had
Trevor
one
Lawrence has
great
been
fantasy
objectively
performance
better
here.
than
He had one great fantasy
Daniel
performance
Jones,
here.
though.
Justin Fields, he continues to have great fantasy performance years. If that's the line of logic, like, come the fuck on, man. Trevor Lawrence hasn't shown shit. Like, you're telling me he has.
I think he's shown more than the other guys you're mentioning here. Plus, I think he has the best cast of characters around him that he's had in his time there. And so, in his short time with Brian Thomas Jr., I thought it looked okay.
Yeah.
I do think that he's been better than kind of the assets you're mentioning for sure.
All right. I was being extreme, clearly, but I'm just saying, like, basing it off of like singular performance and like sticking to that asset and like their value that kind of gets insulated because they are and were 101 is it scares me. I think that's the benefit of Cam Ward. Like, Cam Ward kind of has this like beautiful bubble over him probably for the next 3 to 4 years because of the same thing. But I don't know. I mean,
if you give me T-Law in the second instead of Samson in the third, it's the same to me. And it's the same thing as Cam Ward at that point,
that's
pretty
fair.
much. And I can flip T-Law right over again. And so I've already made the profit. So,
fair
I get
that.
it with Samson in the third not being enough kind of to move from McCarthy over. So that I'm totally with you on. The AR thing, like, I just wouldn't do that because I feel like I don't have to move the first to get into McCarthy necessarily. That's really where I'm at by looking at this stuff. But maybe I'm wrong.
I do think that the Tua trade is an outlier in fairness. I think,
Okay.
I think Ward gets drafted at the 104, 105. So maybe that one is a better understanding of what his actual value is. I don't know. It's been, to my point before, it's been really hard to trade JJ McCarthy this offseason. I've tried to get into those other assets that KTC tells me I can move into laterally, but
like
I can't.
Kyler and stuff. Like,
yeah,
Kyler.
Baker, Kyler, and Dak were 3 assets that I've tried to get into in contending teams and haven't been able to. So
he seems like a hold or a buy to me, JJ. Like, I don't think there's really a selling market. Like, just kind of looking at things, if you can get him for plus off of a Cam Ward thing, that personally feels like he's in a buy window for me. So,
okay, agreed. Yeah. All right, I'll get off my ivory tower. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's good combo. Good discussion.
All right. Kyler Murray again.
So, shit.
Yeah.
This guy.
Sorry. Hadn't done shit in the last 6 years.
Can't see over his offensive line.
When's Call of Duty coming out? All right, so
I feel like Trevor's been better than Kyler, but I mean, not from a fantasy, but like a quarterback perspective.
My buddy on the old Twitter box calls him Call of Murray, or Call of Murray.
Too. That's funny. Yeah, Call of Murray.
Anyway, all right. So, hey, we got a comment. Someone thinks we're cute. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
You guys.
We appreciate you. All right.
Is that saying like we're cute guys, or it's like what we're doing is cute guys?
I don't know.
That Dynasty chat, real cute. Is that sarcastic?
No.
I'm not sure.
No pronunciation. I mean, not pronunciation. No grammar use makes it really hard to understand.
Punctuation, I think, is what you're going for.
Punctuation, yeah,
Close.
that's the word.
Oh, it's either
your camera's
compliment
off,
or
I turn it off.
Insult.
Anyway.
Okay, sorry, Kyler.
So Kyler was traded. Kyler plus a second was traded for Bo Nix. Kyler plus a 26th third was traded for Dak in a 26th second. Kyler was traded straight up for Purdy. And Kyler was traded for Anthony Richardson, 27 first, and Russ.
Okay. Sorry, excuse me there. So Dak in the second, that one stands out from the other ones to me because I feel like Dak actually could be part of this list too in terms of the Ricochet effect because he's way fucking down there with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd probably just keep Dak in the second than going for Kyler in the third. But I get the idea. I'm taking Kyler over Purdy. I think you could. Well, those are the same. I don't know. They're kind of the same to me. I'd probably just keep Purdy on that on that one, to be honest with you, because you're doing the same thing with those guys. I'll take Kyler in the second over Bo Nix. I think you could flip Kyler from where he's at, and then AR 21st, 27 first, and Russ. I hate that fucking trade. No, but
No.
I'm probably taking the. I don't know. I'll probably take the Kyler side, but I hate that trade. I almost feel like that's close to like where his max value could be, unfortunately. But so yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I'm with you all but the last one. I think no, if like I actually had to hit the accept button or whatever would be
Yeah.
But here on the podcast, I mean,
I'm sending it, baby.
I'm thinking, yeah, I think I might just want to gamble on Anthony Richardson, Russell Wilson as 2 quarterbacks to replace Kyler Murray. One of those guys hopefully gives you Kyler Murray points, and then you got a free 27 first. Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh,
I think you'd have to flip AR and Russ very quickly and get 2 seconds, or if AR did something early, you get another first out of those 2, and now that's like, I think you're comfortable getting off Kyler for 2 firsts, but it certainly doesn't feel like that with the current package.
Yeah. Do you get ever 2 firsts for Dak again?
I mean, I think with a bounce back year this year, he could. I think if they do perform well, and with CD and Pickens, I think you could get back to that point. But even if not, I feel like there's a better chance of Dak Prescott stabilizing his dynasty value than there is of Kyler. And you have the second round pick already over the third. So it's like, I have a better chance of getting out of Dak if I want to get out of one of these guys, is kind of my point.
Yeah.
Or I have a better chance, I think, of him performing well on a consistent basis over Kyler if I'm looking for that too. So
that's completely fair. The reason I was asking is because I actually don't think I want to trade for Kyler for any of these packages. Like, I don't want to get out of Bo Nix for Kyler in a second. I don't want to get out of Dak in a second for Kyler in a third. I don't want to get out of Purdy for Kyler, and I don't want to trade AR a 27 first and Russ for Kyler.
Kind of surprised on that last one for you, but okay. Yeah.
I think it really depends on team builds there, and that's going to be
the homerism.
No,
I forgot. Russ is a giant.
No. Wait. Shut the fuck up. No, it has nothing to do. Russ.
I love how he followed along with it. He's like, yeah, I've done this.
That's not the deciding factor here. That's crazy. But yeah, no, it's definitely Russ. I could definitely trade Russ for a first in like a few weeks. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, hold me to that.
Last one, Mark Andrews, because it wouldn't be a complete episode if Billy didn't get to talk about Mark Andrews.
Please,
Billy's been right for like 6 years now. But
last year I was wrong, I think. But yeah, well, I guess last year he kind of produced still, but
yeah, he still bounced back by the end of the year.
It took a long time, but he did it. All right, so Mark Andrews was traded for Jonnu. Hey, you can still trade for away Jonnu apparently. Mark Andrews was traded for Jonnu, 26th, 3rd, and 4th.
Smash.
Mark Andrews was traded for 27 2nd, 27 3rd.
Smash.
And Mark Andrews was traded for Jake's Bo, Juwan Johnson, and a 27th 2nd.
Also smash.
Yeah, I'm taking Andrews over all of those.
He should garner 2 seconds easily by the end of the year, and maybe potentially more than that. So, yeah.
So will Juwan Johnson.
In your dreams,
buddy.
While you sleep.
But it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It was Derek Carr's fault. It was all Derek Carr's fault.
Andrews is perennially underrated. This is a yearly tradition that the community engages in. And so just make your yearly profit on this one. Go ahead and grab Andrews. And if you don't like the player, I don't want to guarantee anything, but I'm pretty certain he's going to get you back more than a second and a third, which is, I think, the best that we're talking about here. in any of these trades, right? Yeah, 27 second, 27 third. At the very least, you could, like Uriah was saying about an earlier deal, move it to a 26. But I think you're going to be able to get multiple or the equivalent of a player or something like that. So, yep.
Cool. All right. I believe that is all of the Ricochet Effect. Sounds so fancy. Okay. Do you guys want to talk about the
Just hit the trades and non-trades. We'll save the quarterback thing for next week. We'll keep pushing it. Fortunately, cool. Again, it's not urgent.
Sounds good. All right. So trades and non-trades. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So we have Trey Benson traded for Dallas Goedert, a 28 third. 12-team Superflex tiered PPR and our Dynasty Underdog Listener League numero 5.
So Benson. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I was just reading it out.
Yeah, I mean, really, Goddard is he's great. He's good when he's second on the team in targets, and as long as AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are healthy, he's just a really mid tight end to hold. So I think I would give up Goddard in the 28 third to see what happens with Benson here.
Yeah, I think I lean that direction as well. I mean, you do have the 175. Goddard could definitely have some spike weeks, but he's just not somebody that anyone really trades for. He's like looking for. It's like very hard to move him. So I would much rather Benson, and he has one boom game, or James Conner gets injured, and you're profiting off of this pretty fast.
That's what I was.
Yeah, I'll take the Benson side.
This was a weird one because this was a James Conner owner trying to acquire Trey Benson. And I feel like if I'm selling Trey Benson to that person, I'm holding them hostage. And I don't feel like that's what was done. Mm-hmm. So this just feels like there was a lot of meat left on the bone for me, even with our PPR. I can't freaking speak today.
PPR.
So that would be half point per reception for running back, full point for wide receiver, 1.75 for tight ends. And even then, it's like Dallas Goedert's going to finish what? Like tight ends 13, tight end 14. And in that format, it's like you're better off with no fucking tight end. Like it just like you can't get into a top 12 tight end as your starter. I just don't feel like you're doing it right. So yeah, I just don't know what the point is. Goddard's touching 30 already, I think, maybe even 31. This just doesn't feel like the value for me. I'd rather just sub out Goddard, sub out the third, and just be looking for a straight up second if you just want to really get off of Benson completely. And I think that's what you can get from the rest of the market. If anything, I'd be like, screw you, Connor owner, if that's all you're willing to send me. I'm going to go send him out for a second to literally anybody else in the league.
Anybody, yeah.
Dallas Goedert, the T-Law of tight ends.
Yeah. Damn, right. The T-Law disrespect is next level, bro. But that was open for the taking. Well done. I like it.
All right, Devin Neal.
I'm not even a T-Law truther either. That's the funny part.
T-Law's fine. I didn't. When I said I didn't want that, I was like, man, am I hating on
No,
T-Law?
I hate what I'm turning into. It's not you. I hate what I'm turning into. Don't worry about it. Move forward.
Devin Neal plus Bayshul Tootin for Braylon Allen, Jerome Ford, 26th third. Same scoring as the last trade.
Damn. This trade completely hinges on how you feel about Tootin, if you're a Tootin believer.
Mm-hmm. Darn Tootin.
Oof.
See, the thing is, there's just a lot of uncertainty here. Like, there's a lot of risk going on here. I mean, it's not like this is not super high valued assets. Like, it's kind of pocket change. I mean, they're not like nothing, but they're not something. And so you're kind of stuck with you're acquiring Jordan Ford because you're unsure what's going on with Judkins. And you're on the other end, you're trying to acquire Tootin because you think there's room for him to get more work than Etienne or Bigsby. I'm just not making this trade. You guys could talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, who's the guy who was like the Bucky truther last year? Whoever the guy was Bucky truther on Twitter last year. No, it wasn't him. The other guy. What's the guy's name?
Zoltan.
Zoltan. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
he's like the Tootin guy this time. So maybe he's onto something. But unless that turns out to be the case, I think the Braylon Ford third side is something you could do more with short term.
Yes,
and you have the contingent upside with Braylon Allen. He's already getting a ton of buzz in camp. If you want to just get off him now, you could probably get a second. Jerome Ford, I think, especially if like you're concerned about Judkins at the level you all are at, I feel like you should believe Ford is going to have some value early on.
What do you mean by you all?
No, I mean, like, it feels like
I'm messing with you.
The only thing I would say is it feels like you all think that he's done. Like it's like no point in having him at all, right? Which
I said I wanted Judkins over Caleb Johnson, but
that I'm surprised. I was surprised by that.
Fair enough. Okay, so then I don't know who you're talking about. You all is all I'm saying. But
okay,
anyway,
fine. Yeah. Then it's not you all. It's Uriah.
Defensive.
It's Uriah all.
Listen to me. Yeah.
But anyway, my point is that if we're concerned about Judkins, then I think we should be a little bit higher on Ford, especially given this trade. So Allen Ford in the third seems like plenty for to get off of Tootin and Neal.
Yeah,
that's a weird one to me. I just don't get trades like that. Like I like buying into ceiling value, but I just don't understand like going all out at a time when you don't need to. Like I guess the positive is that you get into the asset and they end up flourishing and you get off of, Tootin for maybe a first and a second, or maybe even 2 firsts. Who the fuck knows? Like, I don't know what the ceiling is. It's unlimited, but I just don't get it. Like, this just doesn't feel like a type of trade that any of us would make between the three of us. So yeah.
No, I don't think I would make that trade.
All right. Next one. Elijah Arroyo, Lane.
Jalen Lane on Washington.
Oh.
Who?
Never even heard his name. 26 second, 27 fourth for another trade for Goddard and Walker. In DU2, which is just kind of your standard PPR 1.5 tight end premium scoring.
But full PPR for running back.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
That's Ken Walker, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ken Walker.
That is Kenneth Walker, yes.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ken Walker side.
Same. Yeah.
Has nothing really to do with Goddard. I just think that's super low for Ken Walker. Like, what is that? Essentially 2 seconds and 2 fourths, maybe.
Yes.
So
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. You're going to be able to flip Walker for way more than that, or he's going to produce for your team at a much higher level. So yeah, I think that's an easy one. I was surprised to see that trade go down, actually.
Same.
Okay. Jalen Coker, Cokeheads unite. Jalen Coker, Hunter Renfrow, 2 wide receivers on the exact same team for 26 mid-late third. Yeah, I'm taking Coker and Renfrow for that 26 third all day.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Look, Jalen Coker has a very real shot of being number 2 wide receiver on that team. That's
Renfrow's on the team too?
Yes, same team.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. I do think that this is like one of those trades where I probably don't buy both players just because I know what you're trying to do as the buyer, and you're like, oh, well, one of them's going to hit for a third. It'll be worth it. And the other one I can maybe sell for a fourth or something. But like, I'd rather just go for Coker and like go with my gut and think that's the player that I want to believe in. That all being said, I do think that the wide receiver room is still really, really muddied, even though I am a big Xavier Legette hater. I just think that the general room is kind of messy. There's been a lot of hype also around the really tiny guy out of Colorado.
Well, and JT Sanders.
Well, they also have JT Sanders. Yeah. So, Ted Aroa, McMillan, don't want to insult him. Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker. Adam Thielen's also still there to take snaps. Hunter Renfrow, and I can't remember the freaking tiny wide receiver. But anyway, they have a really decent amount of targets available, and it just is one of those rooms. Jimmy Horn, thank you, Lapis.
Jimmy Horn Jr.
I still hate you. But yeah, Jimmy Horn is definitely someone that I think kind of like pulls me away from wanting to just like go all out. But I think for a mid to late third, this is totally viable. Just wanted to kind of shout out like some of my concerns about that room. I just don't know if it's really that clear of a shot for really anybody to take over the second spot. But I do think it'll probably be Tet, JT Sanders are locked, and then I don't know who else is going to be competing for the rest of the targets.
There's a universe where Renfrow beats out Leggett in that wide receiver room. But I know Thielen would probably come ahead of him, but like I could definitely see that happening.
I think they'd be positioned differently. Yeah.
It's a unique
for sure.
Pile of weapons for Bryce Young. Like all those guys we can talk about it later, but all those guys, this is great for Carolina.
It's amazing. It's an amazing setup for Bryce Young. And
yes,
I'll say it again. Uriah was on top of this shit so early last year. He saw it before everything unfolded. I truly am a believer in the vision that Uriah saw, and I bought in. I bought some Bryce Young this offseason. I really do see some type of value there, whether it's like low-end QB2 value, is probably it, but I think it's a viable starter in 14 or even 16 team setup. So yeah, there's a place there for Bryce Young.
All right, last one. I could see moving off of Olave for Shaheed in a 26-second. I can see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Olave. Young enough, even though I definitely believe the injury concerns are something to be, it's a factor in his dynasty value, I would say.
It is.
However, I think I can flip Olave for more than that package, even without really anything happening. So I'd probably just take Olave and start shopping. But I also would just risk it, I guess, and hope he has a couple good games, and then I think you're going to get out at least for 2 seconds. I think Shaheed, maybe he's worth a second, but I think it's probably impossible to get out. Maybe some value there. He's probably more of a third. So I think you can get at least 2 seconds for Olave, but even the heights are even higher if things work out. Yeah, I'd probably lean Olave, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't believe that Olave is going to have a very pro, just given his history with concussions. Just I hear 5 years. So I just don't want to invest long term. But with that being said, I don't know if other people are as fearful of that. And so I think you hold on to Olave. And this, honestly, for this type of trade, I would almost throw in Olave into the Ricochet Effect. I think he very well can have a good first few weeks of the season, and that's kind of the best time to get off of him. He is young enough, like Billy alluded to, and that's when you try and get off of these assets that have a little bit stinkier profiles right now because people are scared. I think Tua probably sits in that same boat. A lot of people are fearful of him with the same issues, but if for whatever reason that Dolphins offense ends up producing the way that it can, people are going to be buying the Tua again. So I don't know. I just don't think that either of those types of assets are things that I want long term, but this just feels really like you're undermining Olave's value sitting on your team.
Cool. Well said.
Maybe I'm a Shaheed hater.
No, I mean he's a nice player, but I think it has like value. Like I don't see a situation where Shaheed's going to be worth a whole lot more than he is right now, ever. Like
I think, his peak value is probably past. I feel like I've seen him I have seen him in the past be traded for around second value.
Yeah, it's kind of, and I don't think there's a path where that really changes. Where Olave, a good few weeks and like that value does go up. So especially just bigger name, better draft capital, all that kind of stuff. So
good stuff.
Okay, is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here?
final comment from YouTube, Lapisaurus, in response to Jake. My haters are my biggest motivators.
Bars.
Smoke bars right there.
That's bars.
Yeah, no, that's it. As always, join the Discord. Check the show description if you're looking for the link. Otherwise, appreciate everybody who joined the show live. Good to have Jake back. Catch you next week.
Have a good night, everybody.
Peace out.